now. All right, so this is the thing. This is like I had to bring some of my props in here too.
So gloves are off now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Some of the stuff.
You can go on your
I grew
rant
up
about that.
Oh, I'm gonna go on a rant.
So I grew up watching every movie I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
And also, watching Rocky Horror Picture Show. And not just watching Rocky Horror, but looking at it as the filmmaker went, like going to see all of the different B horror movies that they reference in the first song that it was inspired by. And when you watch all of those and see the shots that they took from those different films and realize it wasn't just this really crappy movie, they actually put a lot of thought and effort into this.
Yeah.
So I came across this book that just has a ton of cult movies and horrible movies, but they're all films that appeal to niche audiences. And so whether they're really great or really terrible, they're a lot of interesting films. They're not the standard Hollywood release. So you get something really interesting with it. That also led me to being very interested in the films of Ed Wood, which I look. We have the great Ed Wood box set, which you may know from Plan 9 from the Outer Space, which is his greatest film.
Worst movie ever
his
made.
Citizen Kane. And has all of the films in there. I think if you're not familiar with Ed Wood, I recommend checking out the movie Ed Wood by Tim Burton.
Which I've been meaning to see.
Great film about him, kind of biopic.
Is Johnny Depp in it?
Yes, he plays Ed Wood. He does a good job in it. So I like these unusual movies, these movies that people put a lot of passion into.
Yeah.
And in looking at Ed Wood's movies, especially Plan 9 from Outer Space, he has so much passion. Every other film had been compromised in some way or something. He really wanted to make his movies, and this last one was when he finally took control of it, and he worked things around it to get it, but he made the movie he wanted to make, and it was horrible. It was a terrible movie. He was named the worst director of all time after he died. The day after he died, they named him.
Hey, but at least he got something out of it.
Yeah, but he did what he wanted to do. He
Yeah.
made the movie he wanted to make, and to him, he was making Citizen Kane.
I respect that, but I mean, when it comes to like bringing it back to Escape from Tomorrow, though, they could have had a very good movie, but I think he was the director was or whoever I imagine it's the same director.
The director, Randy Moore.
Yeah, he was trying to be too cerebral. He was trying too much. He was
Yes.
trying to. He had a lot of points he was trying to make and a lot of weird stuff he was trying to do, but it just didn't come across. Whether it be plot holes, whether it be just that was probably the biggest problem was plot holes, no explanation, just these weird things out of nowhere, and it was. Just
I don't know if the plot holes are as many as you're thinking. I think some more things are explained in there.
Yeah, you don't
You have
know.
to think about them more, but
apparently not.
But I would say he definitely is going after a lot of things at once. I think his main message is best summed up in the line that bad things happen everywhere.
Yep.
So the director had he used to go to Disney World with his father, and he's got all the memories of that place. And then when he had kids, brought his kids to Disneyland and Disney World, and was recreating those memories with them. However, his wife is from the Soviet Union, and she is a nurse or a doctor. She works in the hospitals all the time, and in walking around Disneyland was just seeing it as this, cesspool of people who were sick and just going around it.
So he hated it from the beginning.
No, she didn't like it.
She
His
hated
wife
it
didn't like it. So he has this passion for Disneyland, this love for the parks, and the memories of him and his father being there. And there's a line brought up in the movie of talking to the father and saying that he came here with his father before him. So he's got the connections to that park. So the lens of the grossness of the park is shown in the movie and brought up as this theory of what if this, some people have different views of this place, but it's this place that's supposed to be magical and happy and everything's supposed to be perfect in it. But it's the dark side that something, bad things can happen there as well.
But in certain ways, I feel like they accomplished that. I mean, you could see, even though I thought the first half was miserably paced and just didn't tell a story the way it probably should have, I mean, he at least, if there was one thing he did right that first half, was to show that. I mean, there was you're supposed to be there with the family having a good time, and obviously, and it's the same thing anyone has if they go to Disneyland or they go on a vacation or whatever. You run into issues. You have, your kids are
being assholes.
Kids are being jerks. Blah 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 blah, and it, and that properly shows it off.
Yeah.
But then you run into these like the weird shit that happens that I really still don't feel that there's any explanation for.
So which things?
The witch. I call her the witch, the chick he bangs.
Yeah, so she used to be a Disney princess.
Yes, but
then she hugged a kid for too long because she always had to be happy all the time. She wanted a life of her own with a kid. Yeah, snapped the neck and killed this kid.
Yeah.
And is now still trying to preserve that happiness.
How did she get out of the insane asylum and make it to Disney World?
I don't know if they ever caught her. I don't know. She's out is the thing.
But what was the deal? Okay, I went.
Oh yeah, she was a witch. She had a magic.
Yeah, that was why I call her the witch. But
yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, it's like...
And they say in the beginning, the witch isn't real, right? Yeah, and that was the foreshadowing of this witch.
My biggest issue the biggest problem I have with this movie was, and we can get to it after this, was the end, but I have, I've been to film school, I've seen a lot of movies in my life, I've seen a lot of indie movies, I'm not, new to metaphors, it's not hard to pick up on something like this. I had the hardest time I've ever had with a movie, in this movie specifically, trying to figure out just what the hell they were saying. I don't like when I have to go to Google or go on the internet afterwards and figure out what people's explanations are for stuff. And I had to do it with this movie, and I still couldn't get a clear explanation because everyone had their own meaning.
Yeah, I think like any type of work of art, you get a lot of different meanings out of something when the artist doesn't explain it in that way.
It's more like it is I guess contemporary art in that way. It looks like shit on the outside, but what do you really think about it? And it's different for everyone.
I think so. It could be different for everyone, but I like the way that I have interpreted it, at least for myself.
That's what you give it a 4.
Yes.
Yours makes sense. Your explanation is the best sense I've made of it.
Let's talk about the ending on that too. And I really love this ending part because in the Disneyland's got to be this happy place, and everyone goes away with it with these awesome memories of it. So all this bad stuff has happened to them, and if you remember, especially looking at it through the eyes of the son, who really wanted to go on Buzz Lightyear.
Hated that kid.
And then he was a terrible kid.
Hated him.
Terrible, but kids are mostly terrible anyway. So
and he gets the happiest ending of all of them.
Yes, he does. He wanted to go on Buzz. He didn't get to go on Buzz, and he didn't get to go on Buzz specifically because the Siemens Corporation had
shut it down.
They shut it down to drive him
the Cumshot Corporation
to drive him
stopped him
to Soarin to meet up with those girls, and that they could work to further the goals of the Siemens Corporation, which was we don't get to find that out because he killed the robot, so now we don't get to know what they were doing.
But ultimately, the kid gets the best ending because
they were studying.
They were studying.
Disney was doing in regards to imagination. And all
yes, they weren't controlling his imaginations, but they were studying his imaginations. They wanted to. They were interrupted in their research.
Real quick, the way this all could have been avoided, his wife could just give him a blowjob.
Yes.
What a bitch! They're at fucking Disney World. You can at least get a Hummer.
He was very aggressive after she said no.
She said no 8 times.
She said not here. She's not here. Just away from the kid.
It was like not here. Stop.
Yeah, then he kept going. He could have stopped there, but anyway, if she would have done that for him, then he wouldn't have gone after everything.
Listen to that, ladies.
But he also was at fault too. But he had cat flu, so
that fucking thing was stupid too. The eyes at the end, I was so annoyed. I was like, really? Do you have to put the cat eyes?
Cat flu.
Really?
Cat flu.
It was too corny.
Cat flu.
Cat flu.
So
he was coughing up hairballs.
That was fucking corny as shit.
Okay.
So as everything happens in there,
I just wanted him to say both. That's all.
I mean, people understand what a hairball is and why cats cough up hairballs, right?
Yeah. They cut the scene out where he was licking his hair off.
I always think he was licking his junk or something.
Yeah, he was.
But it was just...
He licked all the hair off of it.
Yeah.
Remember when he woke up having sex? Guess what the foreplay was?
Yep.
Muff licking?
He got air in his mouth somehow.
But he wasn't sick by then.
Maybe he was. You don't know.
Because when he was delusional on la 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 la.
But hold on a second. Hold on. Let me poke
a hole
in this.
I think the spinning the water part that you're talking about, where he was supposedly given
because they go back to that.
Yeah, I think that intensified his cat flu.
Because if that's the case, if he's had it the whole time,
I think they've got hints of cat flu, like when you get a little sick.
That's not the way the immune system works. You don't get more sick from a sneeze.
But and then that was like a full-on cat flu.
But that's not how that was. But see, that was a weird thing because here's where in my mind it makes sense. The spitting on the face, he gets sick from that. That fucking makes sense. Okay. However, him seeing all the faces the whole time and all that stuff beforehand, there's nothing to show that that's actually the case because his wife does it.
She does it later. Yeah, she
And-
eventually catches it from him.
Yep.
Well, then why didn't Disney dispose of her at the very end?
it
Obviously they
wasn't
don't
as if-
know.
It
but
wasn't
you
a
think
full.
they do something.
It wasn't a full blown cat flu case on that at that point. But yeah, so they didn't have to do anything with
It's
her.
only part
They just
cat
had the
flu,
dead
not
body there.
full-blown
They
cat
didn't
flu?
see. They know of cat flu though, because it was up in the warning
I
signs.
like how this
and
movie's being broken
everything.
down.
So yes, this is how it's being done.
I remembered like
is
really
the way I
early on,
say
they
sane.
mentioned cat flu,
Yeah.
and they mentioned like, oh, you don't know if you could.
You
be
never know
honest,
if
and I
you-
was just like, oh, that must be what he has.
Why did the nurse start crying? By the way.
Oh, that was hot.
She's got so many reasons to cry.
Yeah, I work at Disneyland.
No, it's just the dark world behind the doors.
Yeah. Every time they're alone, then they can have the dark world there. But in front of guests, they have to always be smiling and happy, even when the Asian businessmen are all up on them.
So she hates treating children so much that she cries in between
She
each.
just maybe
turn.
she could have any number of things going on in her own personal life.
Yep.
And so we don't know what's going on with her necessarily. But all we know is during that time where she had that interaction, she had to be the most positive person there. And as soon as they leave, then she could let whatever emotions come over her, and then she had to get rid of it and go back to
Like the
next guest.
Spearmint Rhino after a lap dance. Right when you leave,
Just
bawling.
I was gonna say,
like
I bet
that.
she's crying because she realized that nobody ever paid her income, so she had to.
I'm
She's
gonna
like, oh,
I'm gonna
there we go.
choose to believe that you said income as in taking like the money
As in money.
as in yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, it's, well, yeah. Nobody ever paid.
She's
her
never
income.
paid income.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant income, but you know,
Jizz.
Nobody ever raised me income.
nobody ever paid her. Nobody ever paid.
Oh my God! Yes.
That's what I was saying. I was like, she's like,
Nobody ever
she's
pays
in there,
me
she helps the
income.
kid, and then the kid was there. She's like, back from her, she's like, nobody ever pays me income.
I hope that commercial's still on, or else that's
I
gonna
know.
not be funny.
No. But we've seen it. It's funny to us. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Fuck you, internet. Anyway.
Okay, other parts of the ending too, because you get the imagination of the world that he's supposed to have there.
Yeah.
And then you get to see that there is the version of him out there now that is that perfect reality.
And
So-
you want to know my theory?
Yes, I do.
That was what Disney was doing with imagination.
Ah.
Imagination.
Yep.
So they were
They were literally making it real.
yeah, they're making everyone's dreams come true. Literally. I love it. Because they did that with the kid. They planted those memories in him as he was leaving.
Yeah.
So in not just planting the memories in someone's head, but they actually made that a reality and gave him the good family with the wife that actually does give him a little, whenever he wants
She
to.
was hot.
Yeah.
Oh, we
yeah.
got to see her
Upgrade.
boobs.
Well, that's actually part of Soarin.
Oh.
I don't know if you've been recently, but that's part of the video.
Well,
I
I
must
think
have
at the
cat flu
work-
every time I ride it, because I've never seen it.
The Walt Disney World's a lot different.
yeah.
Soarin' there?
That's the
Oh.
Disney World one.
Actually, no. I don't know if you guys caught this, by the way. There's a part where they show him in line getting on Soarin', and it actually says on the wall, it says Soarin' over California.
That's actually what the one in Florida says.
It's.
Yeah.
I thought
So
it was
I watched
just
this.
Soarin'.
I watched this in prep of going there. They just call it Soarin' there, but the people call it Soarin'.
Got it,
They're going to
okay.
Soarin'. It literally does say Soarin'.
But it
California.
is
It's the
real.
same film.
It is possible that they shot at Disneyland, because I was reading
It
that
is.
they did shoot it at Disneyland
They shot
as
half
well.
at each one. So they initially went to Disney World. All of the actors and the crew got annual passes for both parks so that they could film the whole thing. They went and mapped out every movement that they were going to do for every shot beforehand. Like the director would go out and do scouting for it, but they knew that they wouldn't have that much time there, and they couldn't do setups and everything.
Yeah.
So they intensely planned it out. They rehearsed all of the scenes and the motion of it. And they had to plan on where the daylight was each time.
Makes
However, to make up for the fact that they didn't have their own lighting equipment there, that's why it's in black and white.
Yeah, I mean, that made I guess as a former film student, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, you
because
understood
You have
the lighting.
You're going to have to cover up things, and that's the easiest way to do it.
There's a lot of green screen too, right?
There is. So
quite a bit.
it
I was
starts.
like-
And
it
it's
starts.
apparent.
It starts.
Loads of green screen.
The budget on this film $650,000.
So half of it was for passes.
Yeah, half of that's passive.
I assumed all the green screen ones were the shots where they didn't quite get it, but they
Yeah,
get
those
they,
are-
they had already
they had
got
to be
kicked out.
They were
pickups.
pickup shot. They didn't get kicked out. It was on the last day of shooting. There was I don't know. At least people were at least questioning something like.
Got it.
Hey,
And
you
then,
guys-
so they were like, "Fuck, what's
They're like, yeah,
Every
we're done with
day
this.
and you're-
So then they just
The-
send some guy in with a camera, and they can just
And the
you know,
camera crew was really mad because they had to shave and be all clean cut, looking like tourists. instead of looking like Teamsters and crew members.
Right.
That's interesting.
I can't imagine they had a whole lot of crew. They probably had an operator and maybe a sound engineer, and that was it.
Yeah, they probably had a few, but they shot it on the Canon EOS Canon Rebels. And it credits red in the thing, but I didn't see red in the article, so they had to have used something in the red cameras. But just essentially made it look like they were shooting their family going around. Yeah, had to plan out the shots. They got some really cool shots in here of empty parks, like reverse angle things that they had to have, like, at least for the opening of Epcot, to get that reverse angle shot. At least I just thought, I'm like, oh, I want to get a picture of my family just coming in here, coming into the park. Can I shoot from your angle there? I'm not going to go into the park.
Oh, yeah,
like,
they had
that's
to.
fine. Yeah,
but there was behind the scenes like of shutting down the rides and stuff that I was really surprised.
That was the brilliant part. If you watch that scene, which I liked, in shutting down, the shutting down the ride, you can get them doing that. Like if you're the last person in the park, you can see them turning it off.
Out.
Yeah, you can see them turning off the ride.
But when he turns around, he's like, "Oh shit!
Yeah, in the
fucker."
If you notice in that scene, so there's
the guy in front of
there's
him.
obvious cuts. Yeah, the guy in front of him is like, "What's going on here?" And they continue to go on the attraction because it's not actually shut down when they're acting there. But there's the pickup shot of them shutting down the ride, and if you wait around Buzz long enough, they'll shut it down because whenever they have to put a handicap car in there, then that's when it stops. Which means that if you're in front of the high point target in there, then you're just waiting in front of there. You shoot all you want. Anyway, great stuff about the attraction there. But you can see when they jump to different parks, and it's initially shot in Disney World because they wanted it to take place there. Then because they're from California, they did pickup shots in Disneyland, and also there were certain places that it's easier to see certain things there. Like Small World is more memorable on the outside in here than over in Florida. It's an indoor thing.
I noticed in one of the shots, and this is again as an annual pass holder who's been there a lot. I noticed that they took a shot from Tom Sawyer Island where you could see New Orleans Square.
Yes.
And on the left side of the frame, you had New Orleans Square. On the right side of the square, you had Haunted Mansion. But at Walt Disney World, they're on completely opposite sides of the park.
Yes.
So that I knew that had to have been
so many things where.
And then on top of it, that Toontown scene.
Yep. And
I thought Toontown
used to be there. They took it out to put in the new Fantasyland.
Oh, okay.
At the time of them filming, it would have been gone already.
And what was with that fat guy's horrible accent? That was a shitty accent. It's like
yes.
Quentin Tarantino type accent.
Yeah.
Bad actors. They didn't have the greatest actors in this.
Although the lead actor, the
Yeah, no,
dad,
the
he's
lead-
been in a ton of shit.
The lead cast was some good stuff.
I thought that character was purposely done terrible.
Was it? That was really
The
bad.
wig was shitty.
Right.
Everything about it was just shitty.
Well, the witch's wig was shitty. Everyone's wig was shitty. I mean, there was a lot of really bad things.
They didn't
in that.
pay anyone for
Right, but
making
those
something on
those
this.
wigs were a little more necessary because they're princesses and they had to, you know what I mean? But this guy didn't need a fucking wig.
Well, no,
Maybe he did. Maybe there's something more we need to learn about him in the sequel.
Well, no, the witch.
sequel?
But the witch, though, I'm not talking about when she was like when they showed
Such
her
a
when she was a
liar.
princess. When the main character has sex with her, like in the present day,
Right.
she is clearly wearing a wig.
Yeah.
She did not need to be wearing a wig for any reason.
She might need to wear a wig. You do not know enough about her character.
Was this rated? I just realized
I don't.
the
think
tits
so.
were not really needed, right?
It
Like,
couldn't
it was
have
out
been
of nowhere.
rated.
Yeah, but you always it.
It was out of nowhere.
He wanted to put tits in his movie. He put tits in his movie.
Yeah.
But
God
they
bless
show
you,
him so
sir.
much like she's fucking the dude with the bra, and I was like, this is taking me out of it. Like,
Maybe
where's
that
the
actress
bra?
didn't want to do that.
You showed tits hair. Why don't I have tits hair?
Well, first
then
of
it
all,
was like-
he tried to go take the bra off, but he was tied to the bed.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
bitch.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then she tried to crucify his kid. I don't know, or do something weird.
They were playing Sleeping Beauty.
And was that her son dressed as a princess,
No, that was. I think that
or
was
was it another
actually.
little girl?
That was a different girl, and that was
It looked like a boy.
the director's child.
It looked like a boy.
Okay.
I was like, it felt to
I
me.
thought-
I was like,
It looked like a boy,
I thought
too.
it looked like
I thought the
his
sun was.
imagination child.
Ooh, it could be.
Imagination.
It could be. There's the credit of Little Princess is the same last name as Randy Moore.
Well, speaking of the imagination child in the very end of the movie, there was something that I had read that someone had brought up that this, aside from all the other things I read, the one point of view that was kind of interesting to me was basically this entire movie was about basically there to masculinize or masculinate or whatever the main character, because he basically spends the whole movie, his wife's bitching at him the whole fucking time, his kids are acting like a bunch of shits, he's not able to be a man, he's constantly got this sexual frustration kind of going at, and then by the end of the movie and when he's dead, I guess the whole point
he gets
was,
raped essentially.
Yeah, essentially. And the point of it at the end of the movie when they show him, that was him being a man. He's got the trophy wife. He's walking in there and he's suave and confident and all that kind of stuff. And that's only through death was he able to gain his masculinity back.
You could say that probably. I never think of it in masculine terms.
I don't either, but that was
so that's why I didn't come up.
That was something I read because I had to find an explanation. That ending didn't mean anything to me. That was that was the most frustrating part for me. Could not understand.
So much. I loved it so much. I love those endings where they just twist in reality. And
were the French girls Tinkerbell just because, fuck it, let's put Tinkerbell at the end, but let's make it the French girls because it means something in the movie? Or did it actually mean something?
They are little pixies that are under the employ of the Siemens Corporation, and they are there as instigators. Mm-hmm. And they were there to lead him to the place where he needed to be, but he didn't go with them. He was supposed to go
Cat
with
Flew?
them. Yes.
Oh, okay.
He was supposed to go with them, and yeah, they had to knock him out to take him to the place. He wouldn't go normally, so they took him there.
So he would have lived and probably been fine had he listened to Siemens.
Well, he's actually, I don't know, if it depends where his consciousness is, because if his consciousness is
as
in
he
the
had
new
let
person,
Siemens had their way with him.
He let the witch girl have her way with him.
Well, she wasn't.
Yeah, thanks to a magical amulet that had no explanation.
Yeah, that was random.
He was staring at her boobs, so
he was
staring at the amulet.
He was no. It showed. I think it pretty clearly showed that it was the amulet for the most part. I think it maybe was.
That's a major plot hole to me. What the hell? I mean, does that?
The amulet's magic. You can't accept magic in the world of Disney.
No, I can't because everything that she did involving magic was outside the actual park. Except for the whole point, except for when he's sitting next to her on the bench, all of a sudden, like...
She doesn't have the magic as much as the amulet has the magic.
I guess.
So the amulet can hypnotize
She stole that
people.
amulet from Disney when she was a princess.
Yes.
Oh, so they just hand out magical amulets to all their employees?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They give them access to them?
They've got magic. I don't know how she got a hold of it. That's in the prequel that they're going to release.
Hopefully. If they were to do a prequel and actually answer a lot of this stuff, then I would change my verdict altogether. Sure, why not?
They gotta team up with Disney and they gotta make this stuff. All right. So what happened with the legal stuff with Disney is they shot the stuff. He edited it in South Korea because he was afraid of. I'm sure he didn't have his own editing stuff or whatever, but he needed someone to edit. They claim that he went and edited it there to be away from Disney.
In association with, and then the editor's name.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Yeah. So it's they edited it there. They showed it at Sundance without saying anything about the movie first. Sundance just said it's the ultimate gorilla film or whatever. And so they showed it there, and Roger Ebert saw it, loved the movie and enough to show it. He loved the idea of the movie at least, and so he wanted to show it at his festival. But then there was concern about the legal issues for it, so Randy Moore pulled it from that. But they actually did get the release on iTunes for it, and now Netflix, so more widely seen. So Disney's reaction to it...
You said yay.
It counts. It counts as good.
That's why it didn't get a 1-star.
Yay.
Which is good. So Disney's response to it is essentially, if they sue them, they're going to get more publicity for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and it's just going to take more of their time and money or whatever.
Yeah.
But if they don't sue them for it and just ignore it, they're just hoping, let's just ignore this. Let's just pretend this isn't here.
Yeah.
We're not going to say anything about it, and they won't get any free publicity
and
from doing that.
Disney made the best decision by doing that, I
think it was a good decision for it.
Like the Mormons with Book of Mormon.
They don't want to encourage people to come in there and film movies, but for what they did in this movie, sure, they're suggesting that there's emu in the turkey legs and that the princesses are high-priced courtesans, which
I want to believe that now.
That's something
I want the cheap ones.
Something everyone's got to believe that they are that.
Yeah.
But at
dreams
least
can really come true.
There was God, what was it?
But it's not like they did anything. It's not a snuff film that they made in Disneyland.
No.
It's not like they did that.
I was gonna say, by the way, if I watched that movie and seen that I was in the park that day and they recorded me, I probably would sue them for using my likeness.
Yeah, you gotta be. Yeah, I'm sure you'd be pissed for that. I didn't see myself or anyone I knew in that.
They did not obtain a release.
I didn't see
to
cast
use
members
this
that I know,
face.
but I know most of the people that work in the other parks. So, if I'm sure there's got to be, at least with the cast members, those are the ones that you'd be able to recognize because they're there all the time.
There were, by the way, when you had asked me my favorite scene, there were actually two things I wrote down that I probably should have looked at my notes before I actually said it.
Right,
Because I feel
we'll edit that into that
these,
part.
I feel these were so much better than the one I actually chose. Well, actually, all right. First scene was he's having sex with the witch, and her actual words were, "Feel my vagina, find my hidden Mickey."
Yes.
That is a priceless line, and I can't believe I missed that. And by far, this should have been my favorite scene. Should have been. I'm so sad that I missed it in the first part. When he sprayed his Geosporin all over the place.
That was out to destroy the systems in the Siemens place.
It is like,
had to...
it's like you want to talk something that is a metaphor that I fucking get, and that's blowing your load all over the wall. Like, that I understood. And that
I
made me laugh
completely
so hard.
forgave them for the fact that was way more Geosporin than it was in there. That's fine.
Exactly. Geosporin, though, because you can't have Neo.
What?
Neo, the one from the Matrix. Yes.
You can't have him.
Yeah. Can't have him. Keanu's not allowed. But yes.
Like the learning French, but he was just there.
Yeah.
It was upside down, so she knew.
I saw that. Because
The
they don't sell that one in that shop.
only other two notes I had on this movie were I only continued to watch this. I only watched this because of the Disneyland stuff and just figure out what was wrong with the dad.
This is the whole reason to watch this movie, and I had a screening of this when it first came out. Just because everyone had, all of my friends had heard that there's this movie that they shot in Disneyland. All of Disney friends, people who.
That's why I was
love
interested in it
Disney parks.
originally.
And since I was about to go to Florida about 2 weeks after this movie came out, and so had to watch this kind of just let's look at the park, and I knew it wasn't going to be a good movie, but. And I ended up, liking it for the reasons that I liked it, and every single other person that watched it hated it, which is why I wanted to discuss it here, and this is the forum to discuss this.
I don't dislike it.
Yeah, it's
like I said, I'd want to give it a 2.5.
Yeah, and that's I am fine with understanding. I know why you give it the low ratings for it, and I do not blame you for it at all. This is one of those. If it were a guilty pleasure, it would be a guilty pleasure, but I don't feel guilty for anything because I like this thing and it's good stuff. But I understand that this is a bad movie. It is not done well, but I think that the guy making it had a vision, and he set out and did it. He cloud atlased all over this movie and said, "I am gonna make the movie that I want to make, and I don't care if other people get it. I'm gonna do it."
He sure did.
So you're essentially
and didn't ask for help from anyone.
So just like a child in a soccer league that comes in last place, you're giving him the moral trophy of you came out. Well, you know how they give every kid a trophy nowadays. It's like you get a trophy because you tried.
I'm gonna say it's like this. I'm gonna say
What's great is that he's Disneying this film.
If you see a
high five, all right.
I'm thinking of more like a creative writing essay from a kid that doesn't speak English well, does not know the
Are they Parisian?
Sure. They just the grammar is all off. The word choice is bad. The formatting is wrong, and they put too much exposition here, and then a lot of action, and then too much exposition there. The pacing's off on it.
But holy shit, the point they were making.
But reading it, and you read it and say, this is unlike anything else that anyone's ever written. It's the original thinking in this, and I love the things that they're thinking about in here.
So it's
like
it's like ICP.
Thinking about the right stuff. Yes,
it's like Insane Clown Posse.
Insane Clown Posse. I don't know. Maybe I hope that. Oh, there are.
All my juggalos knows what's up. Yeah.
Oh. So anyway, I loved.
I like
you went too far.
I like the spirit. I like the spirit of this movie.
Yeah.
So that's what I gotta say. Thank you for discussing this with me.
Yeah.
And watching this movie.
It was.
I apologize for asking you to watch this.
Actually, I'm glad I watched it though.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm glad I watched it.
That. Yeah. I like that.
It was on my list.
Even though I didn't enjoy
it's one of those that you're going to be curious to watch this one anyway, and now that it's on Netflix to think about it, I think I might sit and watch that one. Mm-hmm. And had I not made this a recommendation for you, you may have tuned out of the movie earlier on when the pacing is bad and not gotten to the semen stuff.
If it wasn't out, if it wasn't going
to the company.
Honestly,
I mean the Geosport.
If I wasn't going to be here, and if it wasn't going to be our cinema abortion on our podcast, I would have turned it off about 30 minutes in. That first half of the movie before the intermission, up until they tase him in the balls, is literally just so painful to watch.
That happens with me in a lot of movies now. It's rare that it happens in one for instance discussions, but it has happened on a few of them where I would have turned it off, but I got to stick it out for the whole movie because someone else picked it for some reason, and I got to watch it for that. Or in the movie theaters and watching a movie, I there's so many times I want to walk out of a lot of these bad movies, and I'll stick it out, and usually there'll be something in there that I can find in the end. And say,
I never walk
I'm
out
glad
of a movie.
I watched it till the end. Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna miss, especially if they're not talking about it. There could be something in there that's worth your time, and if you walk out of the movie, you've just wasted that first part of your time anyway.
And your money.
Yeah.
I'm just cheap.
I don't think I've ever walked out on a film.
Yeah.
The only one I ever
God,
came close
I've wanted to.
Yes.
Idle Hands
Oh,
was
Haunted House.
was the one I've come the closest to.
Which one?
That's a
Idle
good
Hands.
one.
The only good part of that movie was seeing Jessica Alba dancing sexy. Aside from that whole
Sin City?
No. Man, I got
That was the worst part of that movie.
Tree of Life was tempting to walk out on.
Jessica Alba danced naked in that, or danced sexy in that one? She's naked, but anyway.
But none of you have seen Tree of Life, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck no.
Which is why we're talking about it next. Oh no, Gattaca.
No, I would.
Go.
Yeah, we're doing Gattaca.
All
It's the
right.
one with Edward J. Olmos, and he's the admiral on that spaceship, right?
Yeah! Stupid
No.
silence.
All right, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, because of when we post these things, check out the latest Geek Lord Radio episode so we can discuss this movie in a different kind of way, as enjoying the horribleness of it and hearing what the rest of Geek Lord thought about me making them watch
We got
this
a lot
movie.
of haters on the
Oh,
podcast.
I'm sure. I hope I live for the end of it. That's why we recorded this one first, so that I didn't get killed in that one and we could still make
No,
this
we're not
one.
violent. There's a lot of haters on that podcast.
Dan is going to torture you.
Yeah.
I just don't want the headbutts to the wall turned into the headbutts to my head, and just no.
Yeah.
They're gonna make me take my headbutts to the wall on that one. All right. Well, thank you for watching. Rate, review, and comment. And
Paper rocks.
See you guys.